Ever had a conversation where something just felt off, like they were politely nodding but mentally checked out? They won't say it, but their body language screams it. Here's how to spot the subtle signs someone's secretly hating every word you're saying, and what that means for you. The first brutal truth. I used to think people would be upfront if they didn't like what I was saying. Until one day, I was in the middle of what I thought was a great conversation, only to catch my friend glancing at her phone, giving quick nods and barely responding. I laughed, thinking it was just a bad day for her, until I saw her do the same thing the next time we met. That's when I realized people rarely tell you when they're not into what you're saying. Instead, they give you subtle, almost hidden clues, and once you know how to spot them, it changes everything. In this video, we're diving into signs someone secretly disagrees or even dislikes what you're saying without saying a word. Trust me, once you recognize these, you'll never be caught off guard in a conversation again. 1. The fake nod. Let's talk about the fake nod. You know the one. You're sharing a thought, maybe even something important, and the person across from you is nodding, nodding, nodding. At first, you might feel like they're fully engaged, like they're totally on board. But then, something feels off. It's the hollow gaze, the quick, repetitive nod that lacks any real warmth or depth. It's almost as if their head's on autopilot, keeping pace with your words just to get through the moment. And that's when you realize this nod isn't interest or agreement, it's just polite dismissal. When someone genuinely values what you're saying, they don't just sit there, nodding in that robotic rhythm. No, they're in it with you. Their eyes light up or react. Maybe they lean forward, ask questions, or share a laugh. There's an energy that flows, a sense of real connection. But with the fake nod, there's a hollowness to it. It's a subtle but unmistakable sign they'd rather be anywhere else, like they're counting down the seconds until they can change the subject or politely excuse themselves. And they think they're hiding it well, but that fake nod, it's saying loud and clear, I'm not invested in this. Here's the thing. When you catch that empty nod mid-sentence, it stings. You're out there sharing your thoughts, your ideas, maybe even something deeply personal. And instead of real interest, you're getting this automatic head bob that's practically telling you, just get on with it. It's more than dismissive, it's like a passive slap, a clear but silent way of saying, you're not worth my full attention. And suddenly you're left feeling vulnerable, maybe even embarrassed, wondering if you should have kept that thought to yourself. And let's be real, who hasn't done it themselves, right? We've all been in situations where we're tired, preoccupied, or just not interested. We nod along to keep things smooth, to avoid the awkwardness of saying we're not engaged. But here's where the line gets crossed. When you're on the receiving end of that nod, it doesn't just feel impolite. It feels like a slap in the face. It feels like you're being quietly dismissed and maybe even judged right in front of you. So here's the thing. Don't let someone else's fake nod trick you into thinking your words don't matter. You deserve more than surface-level politeness. If you sense that hollow nod, call it out. Not aggressively, just something simple like, hey, are we on the same page here? Or, what's your take on this? You deserve someone who's present, not someone who's mentally checked out. Because here's the truth. When someone's faking their engagement, it's not on you. It's their choice, their failure to listen. And don't feel bad about moving on. You deserve conversations with people who bring real energy and interest, who see your words as valuable. So the next time someone tries to fake nod their way through your words, remember that you don't need their half-hearted approval. You deserve a genuine connection, not some hollow robotic nodding. Don't let anyone take that away from you. 2, they interrupt or talk over you. Nothing shouts, I don't really care about what you're saying, louder than constant interruptions. You're mid-thought, diving into a story, maybe even about to share something important, and boom, they cut in. It could be something small, like a yeah, but did you hear about, or a full-on shift in topic. They're not listening, they're waiting to talk. And when someone's constantly talking over you, they're saying loud and clear that their words matter more than yours. Have you ever been there? You're speaking, putting thought into your words, maybe even a bit excited to share, and suddenly, cut off, derailed. You're left hanging, trying to decide whether to jump back in or just let it go. And sometimes they don't just interrupt once, it's a pattern. It's like they're waiting, just holding their breath until they can jump back in with something they find more important. There's this unspoken message. What I have to say deserves to be heard first. Let's be honest, this isn't just about a lack of manners. People who constantly interrupt or talk over you are doing more than just being impolite. They're sending a message that they don't value your perspective. It's frustrating, and it can even make you feel small, like your thoughts aren't worth hearing. And yet, when we're on the receiving end of this, many of us don't call it out. We nod along, let them take the reins, and slowly fade out of the conversation ourselves. But why should we let someone else's lack of respect dictate the conversation? And sure, everyone gets a little excited now and then. We all have moments where we accidentally jump in or finish each other's sentences. But here's the difference. People who genuinely care about what you're saying catch themselves. They apologize, they pause, and they make room for you to continue. But those who talk over you without a second thought, they're not listening to understand. They're just listening to respond, and more often than not, to redirect the focus back onto themselves. Here's the kicker. You don't have to let it slide. The next time someone interrupts, try this. Stop, give them a moment to finish, and then politely say, "I wasn't finished, actually. Can I finish my point?" It sounds simple, but it's powerful. It's a way of setting boundaries without coming off as defensive. And trust me, if they care about you or your words, they'll step back and listen. If they don't, that tells you everything you need to know. Ultimately, you deserve to be heard, uninterrupted and respected. If someone's repeatedly talking over you, it's okay to step back and think about whether they value your voice. Conversations are supposed to be a two-way street, not a battle for attention. And the people who genuinely value what you have to say, they won't need reminders. They'll listen because they want to, because they care about more than just hearing their own voice. 3. Feet pointed away. Ever notice how people's feet seem to have a mind of their own? When someone's feet are angled toward you, they're engaged, grounded in the moment, present. But if you look down and see their feet pointed toward the door, down the hall, or just away from you, it's as if they're screaming, "I'd rather be anywhere else but here." It's subtle, sure, but it's one of the oldest, most reliable body language cues that they're mentally checked out, or worse, itching to escape the conversation altogether. Picture this. You're pouring your heart out, sharing a story, a perspective, something that matters to you, and they're standing there, nodding, giving you all the polite verbal cues. "Yeah, totally." "Oh, really?" But then you look down, and their feet are pointing somewhere else entirely. It's like their body is betraying their words, showing you where their true focus lies. They're physically with you, but their feet have already made the decision to leave, and that says a lot. Let's get real here. When someone genuinely values what you're saying, their entire body is oriented toward you. They're leaned in, their feet are grounded, and they're giving you their undivided attention. It's a sign of respect, of genuine interest. But when their feet are turned away, it's like they're in a perpetual state of exit mode, prepared to bolt the moment there's a lull in the conversation. It's their body's way of saying, "This isn't worth my full attention." And knowingly or not, They're sending you a powerful message that they'd rather be anywhere but standing there listening to you. Now, here's the thing. This isn't just a small oversight or coincidence. Studies in body language show that people subconsciously point their feet toward what they find most interesting or engaging in the room. So if someone's feet are angled toward the door, or even just slightly turned away from you, it's a sign their mind is elsewhere. They might stay to avoid seeming rude, but every signal from their body is telling you they're done. And you know what? It hurts, especially if you're sharing something meaningful or personal. It makes you feel like an inconvenience, like you're the one holding them back from what they really want to do. But here's the truth. This little detail is something you can absolutely use to your advantage. Instead of pushing through and hoping they'll eventually tune in, take this cue as a sign. If someone's feet are pointed away, try adjusting your approach, maybe check in with them, or even wrap things up. You don't need to keep engaging with someone who's already made it clear they're not fully present. The people who genuinely want to be there, who value your words and want to understand you, will face you directly. They'll stand with their feet pointing toward you without even thinking about it, because they're in the moment with you. So, keep this little insight in mind. The next time you're talking to someone, look down. If their feet are aligned with yours, you're in good company. But if they're pointed toward the door, it might be time to walk away. 4. Fake laughs at the wrong time. We've all been there, haven't we? You're talking about something serious, maybe even a little vulnerable, and suddenly they throw in a laugh that doesn't belong. You're sharing a frustration, or maybe expressing something you're genuinely passionate about, and they're responding with this forced chuckle, as if they're trying to smooth over the moment without actually engaging. It's awkward, and more than that, it feels dismissive, like they're turning your words into something trivial just to keep things light and easy for themselves. Let's get real. When someone does this, they're not just uncomfortable, they're dodging depth. They're trying to gloss over any real emotional connection, laughing as if that will somehow keep things from getting too real. A fake laugh at the wrong time isn't just inappropriate, it's a subtle way of telling you that they're not really interested in what you're saying. And while they might think they're doing it out of politeness or to avoid confrontation, it often comes across as condescending. Instead of engaging with you, they're sidestepping your words, throwing in a laugh to keep things surface level. But here's where it goes deeper. This habit of fake laughing is often a sign of someone who's uncomfortable with honesty, who shies away from anything real because they'd rather live in the comfort of small talk and empty chuckles. For them, depth is something to be avoided, because depth requires presence, vulnerability, and sometimes even the bravery to face uncomfortable truths. When they laugh off your serious moments, they're actually showing you their discomfort with genuine connection, with things that can't just be shrugged off. And if you think about it, that's a sad way to live. A life without depth is a life where you never really get to know anyone, including yourself. It's a life where you keep everything light, skipping over the profound moments that shape us and bring us closer to others. When someone fake laughs through every conversation, they're choosing safety over connection, ease over understanding. And while it might make the moment pass smoothly for them, it leaves you feeling dismissed, like your words didn't quite deserve the respect of a real response. Here's the deeper message, though. Don't let their shallow reaction make you second-guess your worth. Their inability to handle authenticity doesn't diminish the value of what you're sharing. In fact, it should make you appreciate those rare moments of real connection even more. Because real laughter, the kind that's shared in genuine understanding, where two people are fully present in the same moment, is one of the most powerful ways to connect. A shared, honest laugh is a bond, a signal that both of you are really there, in that moment together, So the next time you notice someone giving you a fake laugh at the wrong time, take it as a cue. It's a hint that they might not be the kind of person who can offer you the presence, depth, or honesty you deserve. And rather than lowering yourself to that level, find people who don't dodge the real stuff. Surround yourself with people who are unafraid to look you in the eye, to sit in a moment with you without laughing it off, because those are the people who genuinely value connection over comfort. In the end, real connections are built on presence and honesty, not on smoothing over the awkwardness with empty laughs. Seek out those who can sit with you in silence, who can respect what you're saying without needing to gloss over it, because they're the ones who understand that sometimes the best responses don't come in the form of a laugh. They come from simply listening. On a 5, yawning or sighing subtly. There's nothing quite as disheartening as trying to share something you care about, only to catch the other person yawning or letting out a subtle sigh. Now they might try to hide it, masking their yawn behind a hand or making that sigh as quiet as possible. But the message is clear. They're bored, they're drained, and frankly, they'd rather not be listening. It stings, doesn't it? You're opening up. You're trying to connect, but their reaction suggests that they're just counting down the seconds until it's over. Yawning or sighing, even subtly, is a physiological response that goes deeper than just fatigue. When someone yawns while you're talking, it often shows a lack of mental engagement. It's their body signaling a form of impatience, restlessness, or even low interest in what you're saying. And while we all get tired from time to time, there's a difference between a genuine, unavoidable yawn and the quiet, almost dismissive kind of yawning or sighing people do when they're simply not interested. They might think they're hiding it well, but you can feel the disconnection. Let's talk about what's really going on here. When someone sighs or yawns while you're speaking, they're sending you a silent but powerful message. It's as if they're saying, I don't have the mental energy to be present for you right now. And sure, we all have our off days, times when we're tired or overwhelmed. But when it becomes a pattern, it's time to recognize what it's telling you about that person's priorities. Because someone who values you and your words will find the energy, even if they're tired, to stay engaged. They'll make that extra effort because they know that respect and connection require presence. Have you ever noticed how we rarely yawn when we're genuinely invested in something, even if it's late or we're exhausted? It's because interest has this incredible power to override our fatigue. Think about the last time you were deeply involved in a conversation that had you on the edge of your seat. You were fully awake, alive in the moment, and every word mattered. Contrast that with someone who can barely keep their eyes open or is subtly sighing as you speak, and the difference becomes painfully obvious. Their body language is telling you something they're not willing to say out loud. I'm just not that into this, or into you. And here's the deep truth. You don't have to fight for someone's attention or force them to care. If they're yawning or sighing every time, you're sharing something important. Maybe they're not capable of giving you the engagement and respect you deserve. Instead of feeling hurt or blaming yourself, recognize that their behavior says more about them than it does about you. People who truly care will listen because they want to, not because they have to. They'll stay present because they value what you have to say, not because they're doing you a favor. In moments like these, it's okay to take a step back and reevaluate who deserves your energy. True connections thrive on mutual respect and interest, not forced attention or suppressed yawns. Surround yourself with people who don't just hear you, they listen, fully and intentionally, because that's where real connection lives. Don't settle for anyone who treats your words as background noise. Instead, seek those who find meaning and depth in what you share, even when it's subtle, even when it's quiet, because those are the people who see the value in every word. 6. Checking the time or phone. There's a unique sting to speaking with someone who keeps glancing down at their watch or scrolling through their phone. You're sharing a story, an idea, maybe even something vulnerable, and their eyes keep darting down. Check, scroll, glance. Each time they look away, it's like they're reminding you they have somewhere else they'd rather be, something they'd rather do. It's not just a casual slip, it's a clear signal of where their priorities lie at that moment. And, unfortunately, it's not with you. Now, here's the hard truth. When someone is fully engaged, they're not thinking about the time or what might be happening on their phone. They're locked in, listening to every word, because they value the connection and the conversation. Checking their phone or watch is a passive-aggressive way of saying, "This isn't important enough for my undivided attention." They may not even realize how much it cuts, but you do. It feels like you're competing with notifications, texts, and the lure of their digital world. And when it happens repeatedly, it's like they're reminding you of your place, just another temporary distraction in their day. This isn't just about technology or time management, it's about respect and presence. When someone looks away every few minutes, they're showing you that you don't quite hold their interest. And it hurts because we crave attention when we're being genuine and open. Imagine finally sharing something personal or simply enjoying a meaningful conversation, only to feel like you're fighting for scraps of their focus. Their phone might as well be a wall between you, dividing their world and yours, and it sends a powerful, unintended message. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for you. Think about those rare connections when both people are fully present, forgetting time and ignoring distractions. That's a connection that says, "You're worth it. What you're saying is worth my full attention." When someone puts aside everything else to truly listen, it's not just a choice. It's a commitment to the moment, to the person they're with. On the flip side, the person who can't go 5 minutes without checking their phone or glancing at their watch, they're giving you the opposite message. They're treating your time and presence as dispensable, something to tolerate rather than cherish. So, here's the deeper message. Let their actions teach you to value yourself more. When you feel dismissed by someone's wandering attention, remember that you deserve to be heard by people who genuinely want to listen. Don't settle for someone who gives you half their attention or treats your time like it's easily interrupted. Seek out people who treat each conversation with care, who keep their phone down and look you in the eyes because they know that real connection can't be divided. The truth is, attention is a gift, and the people who truly care about you, who respect you, will be present because they understand that sharing time and focus is the ultimate form of valuing another person. So, if they're constantly checking the time or their phone, maybe it's time for you to step away. Save your words for someone who understands that genuine connection means putting distractions aside and simply being there. Those are the connections that nourish, that matter, that make you feel seen. 7. Quick, nervous fidgeting. There's something instantly recognizable about someone who starts fidgeting the moment you begin to speak, like they're uncomfortable just sitting still and listening. They tap their foot, drum their fingers, maybe shift in their seat, or fiddle with something nearby. It's as if they're physically itching to be anywhere but here, with you, in this moment. Fidgeting might seem minor, just a little nervous habit, but when it happens as you're speaking, it can feel dismissive, even agitating. It's a non-verbal signal that they're struggling to handle what you're saying, or simply don't want to. When someone begins this kind of anxious movement, it often indicates they're mentally checking out, or that what you're saying is hitting a nerve. Maybe it's challenging their beliefs, making them uncomfortable, or touching on something they'd rather avoid. Quick, nervous fidgeting is like their body's way of saying, "I don't want to be here. I don't want to hear this." They may not even be aware of it, but to you it feels obvious. You start to sense that they're not really invested, that their mind is wandering, and the connection you were trying to establish is slipping away with each tap and twitch. Let's be real. In moments of genuine connection, we don't feel the need to fidget. Think of those conversations where you're completely immersed, hanging on every word. You don't notice time passing, and every detail of the moment is part of the experience. Now, contrast that with someone who's constantly shifting around, distracted, restless, as though the conversation is just something to endure rather than engage in. That nervous energy isn't about you. It's about their inability to be present. When someone can't even sit still long enough to listen, it speaks volumes about their level of respect and interest. But there's something deeper here. Fidgeting is often rooted in discomfort with honesty, vulnerability, or even opposing viewpoints. When people are confronted with something they don't want to acknowledge or can't quite face, they often try to physically escape the situation. That quick, nervous fidgeting is a defensive reaction, a way to avoid processing what's really being said. They're sidestepping reality, trying to keep things superficial, because diving into a meaningful conversation might mean confronting truths they're not ready to handle. So here's a message worth remembering. If someone can't even sit still to hear you out, maybe they're not the kind of person who can offer the presence and respect you deserve. Your words, thoughts, and feelings are worth more than someone's distracted attention. Surround yourself with people who can be still, who can sit with you in silence if necessary, because real connection doesn't need an escape plan. It's calm, patient, and fully engaged. In the end, quick, nervous fidgeting is more than just a habit. It's a sign of where their priorities are and where they aren't. And if they can't handle being fully present, maybe they're not ready to truly connect. Find people who aren't afraid of depth, who don't need to fidget their way out of honesty. Because those are the people who value the conversation, the connection, and most importantly, you. 8. Minimal responses. Ever been in a conversation where the other person just grunts, nods, or gives a quick every few seconds? Minimal responses, those half-hearted nods, one-word replies, or mumbled sounds of acknowledgement, can feel like a slap in the face when you're trying to share something meaningful. It's like you're giving them a part of yourself, and they're tossing it aside with the least amount of energy possible. This lack of engagement isn't just frustrating, it's a subtle form of rejection. They're showing you, without words, that what you're saying doesn't deserve their full attention. When someone limits their responses to the bare minimum, they're telling you they're not invested. And if we're honest, we all know what that feels like. Imagine you're telling a story, sharing a thought, or maybe even opening up about something personal, and all you get back is a half-interested yeah or a blank stare. It stings because deep down,